The very, very first thing any investor should decide on before they invest in any company is, can I trust the management with my money? Now, trust doesn't mean are they going to steal my money, although there certainly have been cases over the years on the ASX where that has happened. But that's the less common problem, and not one really that I think you can ever know in advance and be certain about. The second part of it is, how good stewards are they going to be of the shareholders' equity? What we mean by stewards of the shareholders' equity is the old-fashioned word from stewardship, which means looking after it well, really. And very many of the companies on the ASX that do poorly for investors not because they're in the wrong field, it's not because the economy is turned against them, it's not because they had foreign or local competition. The largest source of loss by shareholders in companies they invest in is because the management of that company invests the money in the business poorly. In other words, they're bad stewards of the shareholders' equity. Often that's for personal selfish reasons. They know they'll get paid more if the company is bigger, and one way of making the company bigger is to make acquisitions, even if those acquisitions would be damaging to the existing shareholders. It will make the company bigger and make the CEO possibly earn more. Another way companies burn through a lot of shareholders' equity and lose money for them is venturing overseas. Now, there are a few success stories of Australian companies going overseas and doing wonderfully well. Companies like CSL and Cochlear are two examples. But for every good example of a company going overseas and using their shareholders' money wisely, there are dozens that do it poorly. So good stewardship of the shareholders' equity is an absolutely critical part of analysing any business. Warren Buffett regards trustworthy of management in terms of their stewardship of capital as the number one thing that he looks at. And the same thing in Teaminvest. If you can't trust the management, it doesn't matter how wonderful a field they're in, how little competition they've got, and how the world is moving in their direction. You're unlikely to do well as an investor if they don't husband and steward your capital well.